Welcome back, family, to another episode of Walking in Wisdom. And in today's character analysis, we are going to consider one of my favorite couples, Blessing Obasi and her handsome husband, the beautiful Blessing Obasi and her handsome husband, Stan Nisi. And at some point in time, we're going to get into character analysis of Nollywood couples as well. We've spoken about the wisdom of the elders, including Uchenna Ubunabo, Uche Nancy, the wisdom certainly of Queen Sonia Uche, and there are many others, but she's just one of my favorites. And then another favorite couple of mine, and is indeed Stanley and Blessing Obasi. Today we're going to see the movie Favour and Fury, which is all about sibling rivalry and what happens when a parent is in the middle of it is the reason for the rivalry. And unbeknownst to him or not, or her or not, it's a way of weaponizing and creating a crevice in the relationship of a sisterly bond. And that should not be. In addition, so today it's going to be a little bit longer, but bear with us because the surprise is this. We are also going to feature your family another beautiful sister, the real sisters, Chinenye and Sonia Uche. Chinenye, multi-talented, interviewed her sister Sonia Uche, her elder sister, her Ada, and we could glean a lot of pearls of wisdom from that interview. So we want to thank Chinenye for having the fortitude and saying, I need to interview my sister. And as the thumbnail suggests sisters in film business, right? And get to know us better. And indeed, they were able to drop a lot of pearls of wisdom because this platform, Social Walk in Wisdom, is about character and having a positive disposition, a positive attitude, which will dictate your attitude and your altitude definitely. We believe today more than ever, characters matter, character matter. And as a leadership coach, and a Nollywood fan and a Nollywood aficionado, I believe in combining both in my leadership coaching practice. When you can showcase to your client where they went wrong based on someone else's um, situation, they're more likely to drop their wall that they have built up. And you can effortlessly do so by storytelling, right? So it's about a narrative, painting a narrative. And what Nollywood does very good is indeed paint so many challenging, complex storylines that it fits so many different people in so many different ways. So today we're going to speak certainly about sisterly love, the bond, and we're going to dissect the movie again, Favour and Fury. And if by chance you have not gone to Blessing Obasi Television and have not subscribed, we encourage you to please do so. Let's move another sister to 1 million strong indeed. What we know and glean from Sonia Uche is that there's enough room for everyone in the sky. And I'm sure she will certainly endorse driving her sister to the 1 million mark on YouTube and any other Nollywood personnel, colleague that's doing the work. And in terms of doing the work here, thanks to all of you, all of us. Collectively, we helped push her to the 1.02 million subscriber mark, and we're going 2 million strong indeed. And if you have not seen her, thank you to her audience, which again speaks to her character. It's very important, so please be sure to do so. And if you haven't seen any of her movies, including Bridge Between Us and the character analysis, including Recipe for Trouble or any one of those, please be sure to visit absolutely on Sonia Uchi television, view the movie, and then come over to my Social Walking Wisdom character analysis YouTube. Today we have 32 videos and we're slowly inching our way there. And that's great because that means the people who have decided to subscribe, they are intentional about what they desire to do. If you're a Nollywood fan, if you love Sonia Uche, if you believe that character matters in the 21st century, if you believe it's better to soar like an eagle as opposed to pick like a chicken, right? Two birds, but one is soaring and one is busy picking fights. You choose this day who or what you desire to be. And if you're a man or woman of faith and you walk in by faith and not by sight, now that you know better, you desire to do better and you want to know the how to, we drop some pearls for you to begin the work. So be sure to check out every movie you look at, double check and see if I've done a character analysis. And what I've asked you to do is if by chance you don't see a movie here, drop us a line, right? I'm just featuring movies that I enjoy based on titles and my favorites and what I can discuss now. But I'm not going to see everything. So if there's something you would like us to do character analysis for, please just drop it in my comment section. I would be happy to oblige to do it in the future indeed. And for that, we say thank you. So go fan out, let people know that we're here. We're relatively new, about 6, 7 weeks into the character analysis on YouTube. And as a leadership coach and as a business strategist, I know the importance of not just multitasking, but using your talents that you're blessed with. And because I enjoy Nollywood movie, for me, this is my way to contribute to the diaspora, right? We've heard of so many in fighting between us, words being exchanged amongst the diasporans, and there's no reason for that. Each community need to do better, and we start by holding our town. A part of that is possessing good character. And as one person state, that is Michelle Obama, First Lady of the United States, wife of President Barack Obama. And she has said, when they go low, we go high. And definitely Sonia Uche has emulated that. So go ahead and subscribe, hit the like, drop your comments. Desert the Great dropped his comments on his very movie, Testament of the Law. And you could go right here in this character analysis that we have done that has over 450 reviews and see his comment as well. So yeah, people are beginning to take notice. And for that, we thank you. But it's more important is about doing the work in the privacy of your own home, in your own office. Do it day in and day out as we conduct the character analysis. And if you're a coach and you're a psychologist, psychiatrist, and you disagree, please, it's important to have a beautiful discourse. Why not? I am up for the challenge. Just be respectful indeed. And if you would like to co-sponsor one of these character analysis based on your take as a professional, I invite you to come on as well. We can make the necessary arrangements. So it's all about a family and it's all about sharing as we get into it. So today, yeah, I'm very pleased to do the character analysis of Favor and Fury. It's really about what happens when faith becomes a weapon and love is a bargaining chip. And it's about analysis for family. And in this case was a father and his two beautiful daughters. And being the youngest of four daughters, I know the importance of sisterhood and what that feels like. And that does not mean we don't disagree. As we will see in the video with Chinenye and Sonia Uche, there's disagreement because no one is perfect. And as you get older and wiser, and based on our experience, you hear what Sonia Uche stated in that movie, right? Chinenye being the youngest, she's fortunate to have what I call quote unquote soft life as the eldest one when her mother was trying to make it. Who knows the behind the scenes, but clearly it was more challenging. And she was able to admit that. And that's not a dig on either one of them. That's their respective experiences. And it's important to underscore that. So with that experience, as Sonia Uchi indicated, that experience allowed her to bring so many different beautiful qualities to the screen. And again, they're both phenomenal actresses indeed. But let's focus on today's video, Favor and Fury, and the third person in this beautiful movie. And I love these colors, beautifully done. The beautiful Blessing Obasi. And we have um, N.M. King. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I love this young lady, beautiful, great actress as well. And I see that she's in a lot of Blessing Obasi's movies. So there could possibly be a sisterhood between them, in addition to the movie they play, Blood Sisters. So let's get into it, family. And let's go at the beginning of this movie. I think it's very important to highlight the beginning of this movie. So let's get into the beginning of this movie that I earmarked. Give me 2 seconds and let's look at it. Here you could see two sisters fighting from when they're little girls. The father came, maybe inquired what happened. He, though he didn't see what happened, he clearly took the favor of the younger, and the older one is left in tears, kicking her feet. Yeah, and that's sad indeed. So that indeed carries the wrong message. And what happens is that as they get older and there's this discussion about them going to school, the older one desired to go to international school and the younger one desired to go to international school. And once again, the father took the side of the younger one and paid for her to go to UK to study. And then what we have here is the younger one, the older one, Blessing Obasi. She is here, helping the father run his company, very proficient, um, and very well respected in the company, doing a great job. She gave her father a great idea. In this part, 80%. I don't worry, we'll discuss it when you get home, okay? And all right, bye, Dad. Very respectful, beautiful story. And instead of really undertaking her recommendations because she spent more than 3 to 5 years working, so she understands the product line and when they're ready to take things to the next level, he just said, "Oh, we'll talk about it," right? And kind of shushed her away. So that's kind of the premise of the movie, family. And what I would like you to do is to consider the role of a parent. They are the gatekeeper for these young souls, whether it's sons or daughters. And with daughters, as women, we're emotional individuals, so we have to be very mindful. Because he's a widow, they didn't have the good fortune of having the mom around for a while. And it so happens that in this particular movie, there is a belief, and I want you to watch the movie, so I'm not going to give it away. There's a belief held by the father that allowed him to continue to play favorites bluntly, directly. There was no mistaking. He was taking favorites and taking sides of the younger daughter versus the older daughter. What that is all about, I'm going to let you find out because you're going to watch this movie indeed. So today is about how a father's crippling favoritism can warp the very soul of his young daughters from a very young age, pitting them against each other on the path to ruin. And my question for you is, have you ever experienced that? As I listened and I looked at the comment, apparently that's seems to be typical for the East, but guess what? For the West as well, it happens, right? And the more children you have, the larger your family. Just remember, as a mom who really provides the nurturing for the children, whether it's 1 or 21 children, the younger she is, and the first few really get the best of that woman, as opposed to the person who is the fifth or the 10th or the 20th, because the woman at a particular age is now exhausted. So she has a benefit, and I know this because my mom is the eldest of 12. And what you do have is the benefit of the older siblings if they haven't relocated to help the mother out, right? But it is safe to say if you're the firstborn, you get the best of everything to the point that you might be spoiled and there's a level of entitlement. Not all the time, because it depends on your circumstances. If you're the older person or the older sibling or the oldest sibling, and things were challenging how you came into this world, and your mom is young and struggling, and your father is young and struggling, guess what? You'll all definitely have a different experience because they might have been less successful. They were not necessarily making the bread and bringing home the bacon, so to speak, or the money, right? So financially also, it might be a little bit challenging. So it depends. But let's just focus on character because this is about character analysis. You would have a tendency as an older child to get the best of that person if your parent is indeed a virtuous person. And if the parent is not a virtuous a person of character, like in this particular movie, the father lacked character based on a feeling or belief that he possessed and carried with him. And it was wrong, and he stuck with that belief for years until his eldest his elder daughter was between 28 and 30 something. That's a long time to hold on to believe and think a small child is responsible for something. What that thing is up to you to look at the movie, and we certainly recommend it. So again, we're going to get into Chinenebe's interview with Sonia Uche. They dropped two pearls of wisdom that I also want you to listen to, and hence the reason my platform is all about social walking in wisdom and it's about character, because there's a reason why that these two beautiful young ladies, equally beautiful based on their respective experiences and their ages, coming from one young lady, Mama Uche Nancy, and we already wrote a character analysis why she has character, right? Because it's important that regardless of the experiences we adult in life, we must rise above the fray and continue to move forward, especially family. If you contend that you're a man or woman of faith, you must do so. So before we get into that character analysis, just based on the pearls of wisdom that Sonia and Chinenye placed on their interview, and we also encourage you to watch that interview, let's consider the role and leadership analysis, the character of the three main characters, which is the two daughters. The elder played Nnebe, played by Blessing Obasi. The younger is Nnebe King, and she played the role of Kosi. And of course, the handsome Stan Nisse. He had kind of like an appearance, and then of course was the father. So let's look at the father's role. Um, if you want to call him the scapegoat and the conflicted belief of whatever that was, despite being a man of faith, he operated in a place of deep unresolved um, belief that really transformed his irrational thought or mindset. And this is primarily, and you'll see it in the movie where they did um, a scene where it went back in time, seeing the conversation he was having with his then young wife and him. So based on those preconceived notions and that level of what I call poor mindset thinking. Growth mindset thinking is different from the poor mindset thinking. And with that mindset thinking, the growth mindset could help you elevate, including financially, right? But it first starts with a spiritual man. And a lot of individuals that are suffering from poverty mindset, they are the ones who have the poor character, who is unable to differentiate between reality from fiction, and they have trouble bringing it totally home, right? So this person, this character, is aligned with that level of thinking. And his leadership, because he wanted to clearly show that he favored the younger sister, Cozy, um, it's destructive, and sacrificing Nene's mental wellness, emotional wellness, psychological well-being years after years after years, and professional self-worth to elevate Cozy. His actions really created a toxic environment between the two siblings. And here's what happened when one person or one child believes something all their life. Now, you can say that as the younger sister, she could have said, no, dad, but the reality is she was in a home, she respected her dad, and she really thought that the father was right. She never noticed that he was picking on his elder sister, Nene. So she benefited from all that scapegoating. She benefited from all that favoritism. And at some point, when Nene was getting on her case and criticizing her and telling her about it, she did not want to hear it. She really believed the hype. And though she was beautiful and she was smart, because she went to school in the UK. It just so happens that her older sister, and this is something else we have to discuss throughout the diaspora, why our educational system is not considered as high as the Western mindset educational system. Because the sister went to school also in the UK, and the older sister went to school in Nigeria, even with a master's, he favored the schooling and the background of the UK. And that's something we need to have a growth mindset shift, appreciating the value of our educational system and not prioritizing that of the West and the colonizers indeed. Okay, now let's consider the older daughter, Nene primarily identified her identity was forged in her father's hate, unfortunately. She didn't feel loved. Um, and this is a profound injustice that really led to deep-seated resentment and anger, and the only person she could have taken it out of was the younger sister. However, she was still able to conquer by channeling this trauma into competence, and though she, in her mind, she's grooming for the CEO, the father thought she was only as good to be the COO, Chief Operating Officer, as opposed to the CEO, Chief Executive Officer. And the father was interested in placing the younger daughter who just returned, who haven't visited in a while, to give her that position. So when that decision came about, she made a decision. I'll let you find out what it is because you must watch the movie. But she made a decision and she chose self-preservation and leadership maturity. And she was old enough to say, no, Dad, if you don't value me, guess what? I value me. But I'll let you look at the movie to find out exactly what that is. And let's consider Cozy, the younger sister, played by the beautiful Enman King, the golden child and the spiteful catalyst. Yeah, it got petty sometimes, but what do you expect when you have kids, right? Kosi was the unaware beneficiary of the toxic system. She benefited from every opportunity without understanding the underlying pain of Nene, and her decision to spitefully accept the CEO role after seeing a situation dealing with Stanley. You got to watch the movie in order to see what that is. She decided that, yes, I am going to put the knife in and screw it even more on my sister because she allowed her personal feelings now. Everything was fine, and she was able to understand what was going on now that she's older, more mature, and she was beginning to hone a growth mindset. Until she saw Stan's character, I'm not going to tell you the relationship, and then she was like, no, I'm going to take the position. If you want to do this and play this game, I'm going to take the position. And it was based on impulse and spite. And again, that's not a growth mindset, and that's not having good character. Her shock and subsequent regret upon learning the truth shows she really has a strong moral compass. And as you get older, regardless of the parent or parent's role in your life, you now have to take an opportunity to make a change. That's also a verse from Michael Jackson, right? You have to look at a man and a woman in the mirror, and you have an opportunity to make a change. You have an opportunity to say if this is good or bad. Because now that you're older, you can no longer say, I'm a kid indeed. So let's consider absolutely that particular situation and understand that in this particular movie, when we consider Favor and Fury, that it becomes very challenging when you're dealing with two daughters. And of course, we're making sure you subscribe to Blessing Obasi Television and look at all of her wonderful movies. One of the things I'm seeing from her fans is they appreciate the brevity of the movies while still driving the point home and the quality and the faith base as well. So please, let's go over and also support Blessing Obasi. And then we consider a couple of biblical precepts. Yeah, didn't give us a spirit of fear, but a power of love and a sound mind. That's 2 Timothy 1:7. That's very important. And we also have 1 John 4:18. There's no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. Perfect love casts out fear. Now, as a man or woman of faith, when you have the perfect love of Abba Father, then our fear can be eliminated regardless of what we are going through. So, lesson here is the father allowed a particular type of fear. You have to see what it is. I want you to watch the movie definitely. So he had to allow the fear to displace his faith and his love for his daughter. And a man of faith must trust your creator, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's sovereignty. And nothing else should take step for that. For Nene, I would say Nene must proactively declare freedom from anything, and that can be done by prayer, right? In the name of Jesus Christ, the Messiah, you certainly want to reverse and break any type of covenant or witchcraft or anything of that nature, that the spirit of fear, because fear is a spirit, right? The scripture says God didn't give you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So you have to cast out that spirit in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Some say it's Jesus Christ the Messiah. And let the church say amen. So the problem with parenting and favoritism, impartiality is wrong. And we have to consider James 2:1, which is extended to parental fairness. My brothers, show no partiality as you hold the faith in our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, right? And there should be no partiality in anything you do in life, in your home, in the workplace, right? Amongst your friends. So this relates to parents as well. We should not have partiality at all. And fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. That's coming from Ephesians 6:4, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Most High. And the lesson here is parental favoritism is a provocation that poisons siblings' relationships for life if they're not mindful and if they don't have a growth mindset, and hinders the emotional health and well-being of both their children, and that can be passed down to their grandchildren as well. Now, for Cozy, the second daughter, the younger of the two, she must recognize the unfair advantages she received and use her privilege to reconcile and not dominate. Giving Nene the CEO role is a necessary first step of restitution. If she did that, you would know whether she was ready to level up or not. I'm not going to tell you if she did or not. You must watch the movie indeed. And sibling rivalry and reconciliation, right? If possible, so far as it depends on who you are, it's important that you do not depend on that. Sibling rivalry is never a good thing. Parents should not pit their children against each other. Okay? And look at the sibling rivalry between Jacob and Esau and what's happening in the world today, right? The mirrors of reconciliation, when you consider Jacob and Esau, and the Bible says that these are two different people with two different worlds, so to speak, right? But there's always been sibling rivalry, and many historians and biblical scholars said today, this is why the world is the way it is today, is because of that sibling rivalry. So the action step really for both the daughters and sisters, maintain the commitment to frequent visits, open communication, and they must commit to talking about the system that their father helped create and cultivate. And even though one got receive a lot more of advantages based on the father's favoritism growing up, she has to now be willing to share that, right? She has to now be willing to share the stage with her sister and be as objective as possible. They're both graduates, they're both beautiful women, they're both heirs of this their father, right? They're from the same mother and father. So that's the way they need to look at it. And whether Cozy, the younger sister, returned to the UK or not, I'm not going to give it away because you're going to look at the movie. Again, it's very short, 1 hour and 17 minutes plus. So that's not bad. So how to action steps for the sisters' future. The sisters need to define their new partnership as adults and whether they decide to co-run the company together or support each other from afar if she returns or not. Then, but it's about a partnership and looking at each other as strategic allies and not enemies or frenemies. God forbid, please, not frenemies, right? And understand that grief and therapeutic processing is needed. I'm not going to say what happened to the father, but it's very important that if both sisters desire to seek counseling together, they can, or individually, and then bring in the other person. That's very important as well. As children, we are still required to honor our parents, right? So it will be well with us according to Exodus 20. I believe that was 20 and 8 to 9. We mentioned that particular biblical precept in my prior prior character analysis. Despite what our parents have done, we have to honor them, right? And again, if being in the same space is going to hurt us, you could honor and love them from afar, but we have to honor them. So this indeed was an interesting movie looking at the emotional stakes and understanding the culture within the East, more specifically Nigeria. And when you watch the movie, you have to decide as a people, as a nation, and as we come together throughout the diaspora, what's going to trump the other? Is it going to be faith? Are you walking by faith, or are you going to walk by something else? And if you're walking by faith based on biblical beliefs, then you have to be consistently consistent in your faith walk indeed. So that ends my kind of my analysis when it comes to um, Favor and Fury, and I do not want to make this too long because I gave some of the what to do um, while analyzing each character. Um, but it behooves the parents or the parent, if they were to do the self-reflection and build self-awareness and understand how wrong you are for pitting each child against each other, you have to acknowledge the wrong. We did a character analysis about when your secrets come out to the light and you didn't bring it out, but someone else did. Whenever it's exposed, it's important that you acknowledge and validate your errors, regardless of how painful it is, right? So your daughters, your children will see that you are on your way for redemption. You have to redefine the relationship because now they're adults. You cannot go back to them being little girls. They're adults, so you definitely have to deal with their maturity level and words that are exchanged. You have to address them in a particular way and practice appreciation over comparison. To have two beautiful, well-educated daughters is a gift indeed. So identify and praise unique strengths and really when it comes to it, no one is perfect. So one daughter will have a strength versus the other daughter based on your situation. You get to know them as adults, find out their strengths and the opportunities to grow. You'll also understand their weaknesses and what's threatening them and help support them in that role. When they see that authentic support, they will certainly come through and come around. And understand the master conflict resolution family. Have direct communication, focus on behavior and identity, and correct in real time, right? And sometimes you may want to do it one-on-one, depending on the situation. So I would say that's it for now. We're going to stop here because now I want to share a couple of golden nuggets coming from true like blood sisters. And we're talking about character, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So we're looking at the character of Chinenye and Sonia Uche falling right under the tree of the character of their mom, Uche Nancy. So as a result of that, what I want to be able to do, we're first going to start with a confession of Sonia Uche. She was asked the question about fame and listen to her pearls of wisdom.
You try to manage it, that will do what? Ensure your
Yes.
yes. But then there's reality and there's the image the public will always want to see. But for me, there's really nothing much. What you see is what you get, and that's just it. But then, key point for me: do not ever let the spotlight blind you. That's just it. Yeah.
I love it. Did you get it? And she's talking about fame, right? But it could be education. It could be 1 degree versus 10 degrees. It could be country living versus city living. It could be a large house versus a one-bedroom suite, whatever it is. Do not allow whatever that spotlight is, that idol that you're worshiping. Do not allow the spotlight blind you. That will be devastating. And that is fact. Drop the mic. Beautiful stated. Now, one of the things they spoke about is about people comparing them and how unfair it is, and I totally agree with that. They both have strengths and weaknesses, and they both have areas where they can grow. So there are opportunities for grow to grow, and things that can threaten them. So in order to remove that threat, you want to upskill, learn, and grow and find out whatever that is. And it's different for different people, but individuals who is considered members of the audience at large throughout the diaspora, even if you're living in Nigeria, unless you've had tea with them a few times, you don't know them. So you cannot afford to make assumptions. And as they stated on this video, they've stated that they're humans, they have blood running through their veins. And even though one sister, Sonia Uche, stated it doesn't bother her, Chinenye is a little bit more open and said that it does bother her, or at least used to, but she's now learning to cope with it. It is so true. But the next pearl of wisdom is coming from her younger sister, Chinenye. Again, the entire interview was beautiful, so please be sure to see it. It really lends into Blessing Obasi's character when we're looking at the movie. So I wanted to see that in real life. They're sisters who have a bond, who really love each other. Yes, they disagree. That's part of life. Husbands and wives will disagree. Brothers and sisters, sisters and sisters, brothers and brothers will disagree, but you still come together. So we're going to move this to the 46 mark to hear the pearl of wisdom coming from the youngest sister indeed. And I pray that Sonia Uche really took her advice to heart because it is so true. You could work, work, work. You have to learn part of also leveling up is learning how to say it's okay to chill and relax and enjoy the fruits of your labor. It doesn't make you less of a valued person. It doesn't say that you have less work ethic because as human beings, we are given 6 days to work and the 7th day to rest is our Sabbath. We need to practice that. So as much as all these beautiful people, they're making the money, we certainly agree with Chinenye when she said it's important to rest and to um, understand what that looks like. So here her recommendation. Let's listen in.
Oh, I'm trying, and now, do you know sometimes it's so bad? Do you know there was one particular day? So I was complaining, I'm tired. And then Chisom was in the house. So we went upstairs. Why I went upstairs was just that I wanted to just lie down and then maybe try to rest or something. So then, do you know the next thing I started arranging the whole house? So I was like, so. I thought you said you're tired. So the thing is that I don't know if it has gotten to that point, like, even when I'm just there doing nothing, I don't like it. Like, I just want to always be doing something. And I just wish I can stop and just, like, oh, you know, when you like, just rest. Don't just do nothing. And like, you need to rest. So that baby girl life, like, who suffer needs help, to be very honest. I've tested, so forget anything I'm soft to. After for everything, this soft life I keep saying, I am working hard for this soft life. To be very, and if I'm working hard for it, why would I enjoy it to the fullest? So I have this mindset where if you want a certain life for yourself, you have to work for it. And when you're working for it and is blessing you, you have to enjoy it. So when you ask God, please, oh, I want more, He can see that the one that He gave you, you've used it. Do you understand? I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how it is. And I also believe that life is so short. Life is absolutely so short. We don't know when this whole video, God forbid, you don't know what can happen tomorrow, but
She dropped the mic, and that's a beautiful way to end this interview. And Queen Soso, listen to your baby sister. She is so right. Life is short. And when you're blessed with talents, your creator wants you to rest a day, a full day. That's biblical. I know you're a woman of faith. And it's so important for you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. It doesn't really find you in any other way. So this is the one part I say baby sister got it right. So please listen to her. There's a saying in the Caribbean, and you might be familiar with it over there in the East. We say, do not burn two ends of the candle. Do you know what that means? If you were to light one end of the candle and then you were to light the other end of the candle, both ends are going to burn out and meet in the middle, and then boom. You do not want that to be you. And when I say you, I'm now speaking to the general populace, Nollywood aficionados, Nollywood lovers, fans of Sonia Uche, all of those she bosses attempting to make the coins, all of you he bosses that are attempting to prepare for your family. I get it, but don't do it. I've seen many people when I was in corporate getting ready to retire, and they worked until the very last end. And in about 99% of those cases, I have seen a, a notice about 1 month to 6 months later that this person passed and went on. So you have to enjoy it. I'm learning that now, hence the reason for pivoting in terms of my corporate career versus consulting and understanding I am indeed taking that 1 day Sabbath, my rest. You must rest, and it can be done. And because you are your she boss, if you're the owner of your own business, you can adjust the schedule accordingly. No one's going to be hurt. Things might even improve and get even better. And you might be able to do it more efficiently. And if you have your own corporate business, whomever is listening to this, be mindful, be sure to take a day of rest. And the Sabbath is indeed the Saturday based on biblical. So if you're a man or woman of faith, I pray that you're doing the Sabbath on the seventh day. But definitely begin by taking a day of rest. And then, you transition accordingly. So, family, that concludes my analysis for the beautiful movie Favour and Fury by Blessing Obasi. We thank you so much for watching. It was a great movie, and let's go ahead and be sure to support and thumbs up Blessing Obasi Television. Subscribe, fan out, and share. Chinenye on YouTube. Let's go ahead and subscribe and definitely share. Of course, Sonia Uche, let's push her to 2 million strong. And of course, my baby channel. We just started out. Only if you're ready to do the work. This is about you desiring to do better, grow, and improve. And if you're ready to do so, we're ready to help you how to show you how to by these wonderful storylines available right here on YouTube. So just kindly hit the subscribe button, leave your comments. If you have a particular movie you would like us to view, like, share, comment, fan out, tell a family member, and let's do this work together. Let's build together. Let's improve together. Let's level up together indeed. Family, again, thank you so much for watching. And as always, Favour and Fury. Shalom.